Surprise, surprise. Conor McGregor is beefing with Kelvin Gastelum on social media again. His comments prompted a little back and forth between them two. Let's see what the Dublin fighter had to say this time. Dr. McGregor has diagnosed Gastelum an absolute scruff. The doctor is in, and he hates the sight of Gastelum's beaten up face. The only thing the poor guy did was post a picture of his face, proudly sporting his bloody smile, and McGregor thought he should share his 2 cents on the matter. He took that photo and put it up on his Instagram story and decided to drag Gastelum to his heart's content. He really did wake up and chose violence that day, because there was no reason for him to say all of that. The man is an absolute scruff because he has a staph infection all over his face, which our dutiful doctor has so intuitively pointed out.
And I'm out here rallying around California in a car that spits fire.
Since he's so helpful, he didn't just diagnose the patient and move on with his day. No sir, he made sure to let Gastelum know of all the ways he can fix this infection too. First off, it's clean your mats. Second, he declared that the scruff should wash himself. Third and last, he advised Gastelum to visit the doctor, an actual one with a PhD, in the sweetest way possible. I don't know about you, but I think McGregor is such an angel for caring about his fellow fighters with such passion and kindness, especially Gastelum. But what does the man of the hour think of these comments? The Ultimate Fighter 17 didn't appreciate the notorious MMA's direction.
But I knew that I'd get my hand raised. I knew that I was hungry, and I knew that I was lucky to be there, so I took food.
Not too long after he'd been dissed for trying to get into the ring with another fighter, despite possibly having a contagious condition, the middleweight veteran fired back in a post on Twitter. He made it all too clear that he's not taking any of McGregor's advice. He started off with, "Relax, you little leprechaun," and then sprinkled in a little bit of, "The coke and steroids are kicking in." Now, you'll be the judge of who won this bout between the two. Although, that's not even the most interesting part. What we should note is how McGregor is repeatedly accused of being a cokehead.
One king gets old. He starts getting sloppy, he starts stagnating. Then a young gorilla.
Last year, Rafael Fiziev made the same remark when the Dublin native attempted to advise him on his striking defense.
If Sean Shelby give me somebody, I believe for his work, he made his job good.
Gastelum mixed it up by replacing Adamant's proper number 12 Irish whiskey with steroids. The latter may not be too far from reality if we look at McGregor's exit from the USADA testing pool and his increasingly visible bulk. Their online bout might have ended here, but you never know when the Fighting Irish will strike again. While we wait for that, let's look at another interaction they've had of a similar nature. It seems McGregor has always been bothered by Gastelum's physical conditions. Believe it or not, this isn't the first time the notorious MMA has called him out for being unhealthy and unhygienic.
A bit more because sometimes it's over before you even know it, and then you're like, I wish I was in.
Back in 2019, UFC 234 was set to take place at Rod Laver Arena in Melbourne, Australia. Originally, the main event was supposed to be a UFC middleweight title bout between champion Robert Whittaker and Kelvin Gastelum. But Whittaker had to sit that one out due to a hernia in his abdomen.
Support my mate, but also, obviously I'm supporting the team, but
Gastelum became a self-proclaimed middleweight king because he showed up to the fight. Now, McGregor was watching as this entire scenario folded out, and of course, he had a lot to say on the matter right there and then. Eagle-eyed McGregor noticed the redness around Gastelum's bottom lip, which had been pointed out by others during the press week before the fight. Some believed it to be ringworm.
No, he's an experienced guy. He's been around the game a long time. He's fought under the UFC.
And so did our Irish champ, which is what prompted him to slam him on Twitter. Not only was he mad at the fighter, but also at the organization for letting him roam around and meet fans with worms crawling on his skin. He called it absolutely ludicrous that Gastelum was holding the 185-pound belt and demanded for the situation to be sorted out, which included sterilizing the belt too. But he wasn't the only one outraged by Gastelum's behavior. UFC welterweight Colby Covington called him a filthy animal and told him to take a shower.
You're a little prawn. I'd put the prawn on the Barbie because that's how we do down under, mate.
And yeah, the recurring problem does seem to be his lack of hygiene. But what did Gastelum have to say this time? It's not that he's unaware of his multiple conditions, he just doesn't care about the consequences, or even the prevention it seems. He's admitted to having some complications caused by a staph infection the week before fight night.
I had UFC staff knocking my door at 7 a.m. this morning, and
But he wasn't going to let that get in the way, which is probably why he called himself a real fighter. Even when he was getting called out by the other fighters for being unhygienic hairless, he didn't admit to being in the wrong.
I had a schedule, I'm actually like Wolverine, you know, I'm recovering really fast.
But maybe that's just the nature of the trade. He only had comebacks to give to anyone who had comments to make. Given that McGregor had challenged his position and questioned why he had the belt to begin with, Gastelum replied cockily by saying, "Come take it off, little prick." There's a similarity I've noticed between these two interactions.
He had me up against the fence, and at one point I kind of just let my body loose, you know.
Or in the response he gives to accusation thrown at him. The 31-year-old fighter never gives explanations, nor does he offer apologies to making errors. Instead, he jumps straight to dissing the other person, even if they're saying the right thing. But then again, that's just the way things roll in the world of MMA. In the name of accountability, Gastelum will have to sit this one out though. The one-time title challenger didn't fight in his planned UFC Vegas 67 bout. The supposed staph infection we started this video with was the least of Gastelum's concerns, considering the gnarly mouth injury he'd gotten, which is what he was showing off in the picture he posted. Soon after that picture surfaced, ESPN reported that he was forced to withdraw from the headlining bout against Imavov. It seems like that fight just wasn't meant to be. The last time these two were supposed to face off was at UFC 273 last year, which didn't take place due to Imavov's travel visa issues. Unluckily for Gastelum, instead of getting a new opponent, he was removed from the card entirely. Now that he was finally about to have his first fights in 2021, the injury came and ruined it for him. But let's not forget that it's his own fault too, and Michael Bisping agrees.
Kind of pissed me off a little bit. I was like, hold on a minute, you've got enough going on in your life without berating my accomplishment.
It's risky to spar in the week before a fight, and it's not even required of you to do so. The fighter should rest and focus on the weight cut. After being withdrawn from the fight, Gastelum had his tooth stitched back in. We know this. Why? Because he indulged in some TMI. The video he posted is not for sensitive people. He did give a little TW by stating graphic imaging in the caption of his social media post, but that doesn't change the fact that he still put it up. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to come across a gruesome video of teeth being stitched back into place as I zoom scroll on Instagram. That kind of image is burnt to your head forever. I believe a simple post would have done the job too, but maybe it's more a style to involve everyone in the procedure too. And if anything, at least he's gotten his injury set, right? We can all give him that. I hope you found McGregor and Gastelum's online bout enjoyable. See you in the next video.